Back. Casey Campbell here with Great Lakes Post. We are pleased to be joined by Joey Hand, who will be making, of course, his Cup Series debut in the number 52 for Rick Ware Racing and the NASCAR Cup Series this weekend at the Roval. How's it going, Joey?
Good, man. Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So what made you decide to come Cup racing?
Honestly, man, I've been wanting to do this since I was 11 years old. Probably before that. I started watching my dad race when I was 2 years old on dirt tracks. And, NASCAR is probably the thing you see the most of all the racing. And it's the most, commercial. And yeah, I just always was drawn to NASCAR. But, as a guy that didn't come up with a lot of money, I took whatever avenue I could take. I started out, first thing I ever drove was a sprint car, 410 sprint car. That was a midget. And then it ended up being Formula Mazda. And that path took me to open wheel. And after I had a big wreck in open wheel and broke my back, there was a BMW sports car deal over here. So, you don't always get to choose the way you want to go. But, just like my time in DTM, I thought that ship had sailed also, racing in Europe or whatever. And then here I am racing in Europe in my middle 30s. And nobody would ever thought that would happen. The only American to ever do it. And now here I am doing my first Cup start. It's kind of circle. We're just running a big circle here. But for me, NASCAR has always been something I want to do. I've always wanted to be a guy that could do everything. I enjoyed like the idea of how AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti, they're over here in their Indy car and their sports car, and things were different back then. But, some of the best ever have been able to kind of wheel anything. And so, it's gonna be different, but it's my kind of racing, elbows out and, fender gets knocked in, you tape it up, you keep going and kind of fight to the death. It's kind of my way.
Very much.
Yeah.
So, of course, a lot of people recently have known you for, of course, when you were at Chip and Ford driving in the GTLM class. What have you been up to since then?
Well, since the Ford deal ended with Chip, the Ford GT thing ended, it ended up putting me kind of on my heels a bit. There wasn't a lot of options for me because not a lot of people totally understand this or know this, but when you race in sports cars, there's a world rating system that the FIA puts on each driver, and it goes bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and bronze and silver are made for amateurs. So if you're not a paid driver, you're a bronze or a silver, better or worse, or however many things you want. Gold and platinum are made for professional drivers, guys that get paid to do it. Platinums are rare. Platinum, the rule book on this rating system is kind of like, it seems like they do what they want when they want. And there's no like strict, okay, you're a platinum because of this. They ask you a bunch of questions. Okay, you're a platinum. For me, I checked off a lot of boxes when they asked that. Factory driver in the past, raced in DTM, won championship in IMSA, won Le Mans. These are all check marks that kind of put you in the platinum-ish category. And so I just been platinum all my life as far as the rating system has ever been alive. And it's not an issue when you have a factory deal, but when it come off that factory deal and you're trying to just like maybe survive for a year or two, you can't play down. So there's not a lot of classes I can race in. So I can't go race in GT4, couldn't race in World Challenge, IMSA Pilot Challenge. There's only a certain amount of gold or platinums can be in a GTD car. So it kind of put me out of a job. Like there's just nowhere to go. Like where do you go? And when you talk about, okay, well, how about one of the prototype rides or the GTLM rides? Well, you can count those on your hand, right? You're not going to say, oh, Joey Hand's available. Let's kick out this guy that's been over here for 10 years and put him in. So it's not super reasonable. So with that, and it's just difficult to find a deal. And, I'm not where I'm at in places I've been able to drive, places like Chip Ganassi Racing and BMW Factory, Ray Hall, Letterman Racing. I mean, I've been in some great programs. So I don't really want to go, we don't go way far down there to do anything. So I felt like there's, it was worth waiting. For me, I had plenty of things to do. My son is become kind of a professional karter. And so he was offered a national kind of sponsored national ride. And so I just got to get him there. And I'm the tuner. So I'm dad, I'm tuner, I'm coach, I'm everything. So we've had a lot to do in the last year and a half. But in the meantime, I've stayed really close with Ford, and the relationship I have with Ford was always good from the beginning. Not just Ford the company, but Ford the family, Bill Ford and the whole family, Etzel, Henry III. Just we got as close as you could get as far as a driver and a manufacturer go. Being involved in events with them, going to dinners with them, you just become closer. And so we become basically friends. And so I've along with that, you win Le Mans in a Ford GT with the history that was behind that. And I'm kind of always tied to Ford, the cars in the Henry Ford Museum. And I still have in the last year, and ever since the program ended, I do a lot of Ford GT launch stuff, heritage events. I was just at the Shelby Bash in Vegas. So I've kept off the radar, but people don't know probably how much I've been involved with Ford. And on top of that, just this year alone, I've been spending a lot of time at the Ford Simulator, which is where I'm at. That's the Ford Performance Center here in Concord, North Carolina, and spent a lot of time on the sim, helping with that and doing some driver coaching with the NASCAR guys. So as far as some people think, since 2019 may not have heard from me a lot unless you follow me on Instagram, but I've been busy.
I know. Yeah, I was just about to get into that because I know your son's career is kind of getting up there as well. What's that been like to just see, I forget, 16, 17 years old or
15,
something?
Just turned 15, but he looks like a 17-year-old. He's tall like a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's awesome. I come from a racing family. My dad did it at a low level, just dirt track racer around, and I loved it. My wife and I met when we were 12 years old. We started racing about the same time in karts, and we started dating when we were 16, and we've never been apart since. So we spent our whole lives together. She's been finished racing herself and was team manager for one of the BMW teams and my Toyota Atlantic team back in the day. And so we were a racing family. My son has taken on racing. My daughter plays softball, though she can wheel also, but she's a softball player. But my son is, he loves it. He's a student of the sport. He loves to learn about it. He's a smart kid. He wheels really good. For me, it's probably something I always thought about when you have kids. You kind of like, what can you teach them? And for me, being racing all the time, I always kind of thought it'd be awesome to have a kid that raced. And my dad and mom are still involved. So we have 3 generations at the racetrack. So when I can't go, like right now, I'm in here in the sim today and they're at Mooresville at GoPro Motorplex testing right now. So, and they're racing next weekend, a big race next weekend. So it's a cool family effort. We don't really know anything different. But I'll tell you, it's awesome to do the coaching part, like teach them how to race, teach them the mental side of things. And, I have a lot of connections in karting and I have a lot of help because of that from sponsors I had throughout my life. And so we're able to do it. It's not a cheap sport. So I definitely use a lot of my, every connection I have, let's put it that way.
So where do you think he'll go? Do you think he wants to try the IMSA route like you did, or?
Well, people ask this to me a lot, what are you guys gonna do next? And I always tell them, I said, well, when you don't have money to prepare, then you go with whatever comes. And that's pretty much what happened to me. I mean, we've had some friends of ours that race that have offered, like, maybe driving a Bandolero, like some old stuff, or a limited late model, things like that to jump into, offered to do some outlaw kart stuff. So for me, I think I think it's great to be well-rounded and be able to adapt things really quickly. So it's going to be whatever. We're going to do whatever comes. And, him and I have had the conversation about racing together at a big race, like doing Daytona, a father-son involved car that we could race together at Daytona or something like that. So I think that's probably one of the things that's in the cards. If he continues on, and if it's what he wants to do, that is definitely something that's been brought up is, could we one day drive together at Daytona or pretty much anywhere in a sports car race? But I don't think he's real picky. He's like me. When you get into racing, you kind of decide, you kind of understand that really racing's racing. It's about the competition. It's about the mental side of it, the kind of the battle and the war.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about this weekend. I know that, you're getting in a big, heavy stock car at a place, with the Roval and all that stuff. What's that going to be like out there racing with all the top NASCAR guys?
I wish I knew a little better, but it's going to be what I've been summing up to is going to be wild and crazy. I mean, not only is the Roval a little wild and crazy just for the guys that do it all the time, but for me jumping in, no practice, no qualifying, trying to find my way in the first bit. I mean, I expect it to be fun. I actually am really excited about it. I think it's going to be really fun. Like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do. And, I've gotten close to some of the guys, especially the Ford guys here that I work with. So they've given me a lot of help and a lot of advice on how to at least get through the first couple stages. And, but I don't really know what to expect. Luckily I have the sim work here to be able to get probably ready more than anybody else will be able to get ready. And I have a lot of good help to get me, before we got on this call, I was studying, watching onboards from last year and looking at pit road selections and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to get as prepared as I can from every aspect, especially the simple stuff, so I can go out there and focus on driving. But yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity. I'm super thankful to Ford. I mean, this is something that I kind of wore out Mark Rushbrook about. Well, Mark Rushbrook, he's the head of motorsport for Ford. Etzel, Bill, I've kind of wore him out for 7 years. Ever since the GT program started, I would come in here, and when we did GT sim testing, I always saw the NASCAR buck. We call it a buck, like the NASCAR chassis they put on there for the NASCAR sim stuff. And I'd be like, hey, throw that on there. Let me drive it a little bit. And so after all that, and then like saying, hey, remember if somebody gets sick or, you need somebody, I'm here, I'm ready. 7 years of that finally wore them down, it seems. So they're going to give me a little shot here. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I mean, one of the biggest things is just get a feel for the car and be able to help these guys. If I know how the car works in real life, then when I come to help them on the sim with coaching, then I have a better feel for it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Joey Hand, thank you so much for coming on, talking with us. Good luck this weekend at the Roval, and it'll be good to see you out there in a NASCAR.
All right, man. Well, I can tell you one thing, it's going to be worth watching. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.